what you want isn't the best thing for you. Sometimes what you want isn't the best thing for you. Sometimes not good enough just means not good enough yet. I've seen so many people go on and on about it on their YouTube channels, on their podcasts, and on other forms of content on all types of social media. And I used to think, yeah, sounds good in theory. And never did I come on to terms with this thing until very, very recently in my life. And life actually taught this to me the hard way, or maybe I can say the important way. So, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Blossoming Chronicle. And thank you so much to whosoever has tuned in another week and taken out some time from your some amount of time from your precious schedule to listen to this podcast. And yeah, this really means a lot to me. And those of you who haven't subscribed yet, please go and subscribe to YouTube and Spotify channels of the Blossoming Chronicle. So in today's episode, we're not gonna have a guest. And I thought that because this is my podcast and I should also actually let my personality shine through. So today it's gonna be all about me. It's gonna be all about me being vulnerable and honest and showing the most suspicious slices of my life. And whatever I've learned through running after things I don't care about, through running after things I don't give a fuck about, and running after things that I really don't love, and things that I have domineered onto myself just because they seemed lucrative or because the social protocol dictated it to be lucrative. Today it's gonna be Chandni Dhawan 110% unfiltered. So grab a cup of tea or a tequila and don't you dare run anywhere because there's so much more coming. It all started in 2016, and ever since I had started learning the Japanese language, it was fascinating for me, and indeed my excitement actually knew no bounds when I actually got an opportunity to visit Japan and experience the culture that I had appreciated for a really long time. Exploring the rich and vibrant culture of Japan was a welcome change to the culture that had since then defined me, and the few days that I spent in Japan had actually allowed me to break out of the cocoon of certainty I had wrapped myself in and actually gain a larger perspective of what qualities define a person. Like so many other youngsters in India, I always had a dream to study abroad and kind of make my parents proud and blah 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 blah. And my experience with Japan as a country had actually brought out in me the empowering feelings of humility and cooperativeness, but at the same time, it actually made me follow a trajectory which was based on sheer romanticism and far away from the personas of reality and pragmatism. Deviating from my own values, the 18-year-old naive me who wasn't self-aware and who isn't also self-aware right now, I was on a race to grab something that I didn't believe in, on a race to grab something and something which was much more like a race to the bottom. But because we learn with time and with experience, so I applied to one of the best universities in Japan called Ritsumeikan University, and I applied for a course in bachelor's in policy science, and I was aware of how much I couldn't afford doing this without a scholarship, but I thought, why not give it a shot? I had pretty much romanticized all of the stuff, the course I was going to do, how happening life was going to get. And as I cleared the first screening towards the admission process, it led to an increase in romanticism. I had actually defined, imagined myself kind of standing in front of the university campus. Then about the second screening, I thought it was good, but it actually wasn't that good. And so the day the results were announced for the admission process, I got an acceptance letter, and I only got in with 20% scholarship. And 20% scholarship is nothing if you want to survive in a country like Japan. I was shattered, devastated, and on top of that, jealous of the batchmates of mine who had got in with good amounts of scholarship. And so I shut myself in a room. I did not talk to anyone. I did not answer any phone calls. And, after that, it was time for class 12th board results, which is, for anyone who's watching outside India, it's basically the high school results. And I was very much aware that I had done blunders in my exams. And so I scored 87%, in high school, which is really not enough if you want to get into, a college like Delhi University. And so things worked out eventually. I got admission to the University of Delhi and I started studying over there a bachelor's in economics honors, and which I have been really ungrateful for until very, very recently, I think in 2021. Somewhere in my hindsight, I was very much aware, because my process was result oriented and not process oriented. That was the reason I actually landed myself into unrealistic situations. Now, knowing something and acknowledging something are really two different things. I thought I had learned something through the process, but I actually hadn't. So, again, in October 2020, of no clue of where I want to go, I started bump staring again on an empty road. And so I applied for a master's to one of the best universities in Japan, called the Ritsumeikan Asia Pacific University, for a course in international cooperation policy. I had thoroughly enjoyed my time studying economics at the University of Delhi, and which in my delusion made me feel that, oh my God, I'm going to make an economic impact. I'm going to solve the world's crisis, and yeah, I'm going to kill it. And so, to tell you how much I actually wanted it, I'm going to read out the personal statement that I wrote to the particular university for that particular course. My studies have made me realize that the most impactful way to make the economic environment a secure place for the survival of any socio-economic group is the construction of policies that deal with individual concerns. My goal is to put together effective policies that represent the needs and interests of all communities, treat everyone as individuals, and give them the resources to become contributors. My mission is to create an environment where individuals are empowered enough to create opportunities for themselves to prosper. I do not want anyone to have sleepless nights over financial distress. I aim to achieve this goal through interventions rooted in research and analysis, amalgamated with innovative process-based policies. I firmly believe that economic growth, combined with public action towards welfare, is the spirit of this century. November 2020, I submitted this personal statement with other admission tests. Now, 2021, January 17th, results announced. Again, I got in. Again, I got the acceptance letter from the university, this time with 50% scholarship. And LOL, it did not work out again financially. I had a commitment to myself that scholarship was the only way for me to go overboard with this. And for the following 2 weeks, I couldn't actually digest the rejection it made me feel. And for the following 2 weeks, I actually was trying to make the unrealistic happen. I contacted the NGOs I work with to get some recommendation letters, called the admissions team for some negotiations. And the representative of the university at India's office had the audacity to tell me that if you don't go for this, your life will be nothing. She literally said this thing to me. My naive and childish psyche made me also question my parents with this, and to this date, I feel guilty of having asked them to support me with this. And I was such a brat, and I think, to come to think of it, if this same thing would have happened 5 years ago, I actually did have the money to go for it. To kind of explain you guys how I felt at that particular point, I'd like to quote Matthew Hussey. So the experience was pretty much like a breakup. So it was like, anytime someone breaks up with us, the heartbreak is actually the loss of the life we thought we were going to have. And we just suddenly start to think, oh my God, that they were the one and we won't find anyone else. And so the only thing I would say to myself was that, oh my God, this was the only one opportunity. Everything is rigged. I don't know what is going to happen. The only thing I would say to myself, oh my God, that this should have been and this could have been. And the truth is that it would have been if it should have been and it could have been. And I was literally grieving over something that wasn't meant to happen because it didn't happen. Now, becoming a little pragmatic now, the reason it didn't happen was because I never wanted to go for that course. I never wanted to study masters in international cooperation policy. I never wanted to go for that course. I was only running after the lucrativeness of the career. The truth is that I was trying to succumb to the socially approved image of being successful and running after something that I really didn't want. And I don't give a fuck about the politics of my own country. Why would I care about the geopolitics of different countries for studying and studying that course in general? And today, I cannot thank the heavens, I cannot thank the Lord enough for not having sent me there. I could have trained myself of a buttload of money. I could have, I would have had to devote the next 8 years of my life to something I really have no interest in, I really don't care about. Just the idea of studying abroad was lucrative to me. I'm really not proud admitting this, but it's the truth. Maybe just the idea of getting praises from everyone was lucrative to me. Maybe just the idea of the lucrativeness attached to the word diplomat was lucrative to me. I don't even know what a diplomat does exactly. Didn't I actually know that I don't want to study something like this? Wasn't I actually aware that I don't want to study something like this? Yes, I was completely aware. But I'd like to quote Mark Manson over here. We often lie to ourselves in order to protect ourselves. And once we're dependent on that lie to remain emotionally secure, we start protecting those lies. I lied to myself about the fact that I want to study a worldwide reputed course just to fit into what is socially respectable and study something that I really don't care about. And I have learned the biggest lesson of my life. Till the time you will try succumbing to what is socially approved, to what is socially respectable, to what is socially lucrative, you will always remain unhappy. You'll always remain unsatisfied. And guys, the truth is that there is nothing socially respectable. You can be working with the United Nations, get paid nothing, and still fall for the socially respectable crap. Stop trying to fit yourself into clothes that don't fit you anymore. Stop trying to please people. And as easy as it sounds, it's simple, but it's not easy. But actually, baby step towards this, inculcating this trait in your personality can help you change your life. It's not like I had an overnight realization to actually come onto terms with this. It took a lot of hit and trial and error. And it wasn't like just after one night realizing all of this, I became Miss Confidence. No, it was nothing like that. Eliminating people from your life that actually bring that negativity with them and eliminating all of those noises can actually help you cheer yourself rather than condemning yourself over anything like this. But does that mean that whatever I wrote in my personal statement was crap? Oh, hell no. Does that mean that the vision I hold is crap? Oh, hell no. And does that mean that I stopped dreaming big? Oh, hell no. There is something in me that makes me believe that I can achieve it, that I can actually fulfill the vision that I hold. And I know 110% that I will do something to actually fulfill that vision of mine. But maybe instead of going for a degree, I want to actually learn by practical application. Maybe I want to fulfill that vision of mine through educating people, through creating content, or through growing a business, and creating a social impact through that. If you want to sell shoes, make a business out of it. If you want to dance, make an Instagram video. If you want to become an actor, self-tape a video and send it. If you want to talk to people, create a podcast and start talking to people. But eliminate the judgment you have in yourself for yourself and cheer yourself up rather than condemning yourself. Just don't go for an MBA because your cousin's going for an MBA. There are douches in my relatives who don't even know the full form of an MBA and they ask me to go for an MBA. And quoting Gary Vaynerchuk over here, you can be 20 years old, 30 years old, 40 years old, 50 years old, and in fact 60 years old and do nothing and still be a child. But you don't think that because when you're 20, you think that 30 is old. But the truth is, till the time you won't come onto terms with who you actually are, you will always walk onto a mirror that has dust accumulated on it. I'm not someone who's achieved much in life and I'm talking about all of this, but we usually talk about all of this stuff to people who've achieved something really, really distinguished in life rather than talking to them when they actually experienced it. And it's really important to talk about it when you actually experience it, because that is the time you're really learning, and that is the true revelation of a person. I am in no hesitation of accepting that I am average at whatever I do, as long as it makes me happy. I like teaching, so I'm a freelance tutor. I like talking to people, so I have a podcast. I'm doing a part-time job because I'm discovering what sort of a job I really actually like to do, and I'm discovering my path and my purpose in life. Some people will be like, you don't need to run after money in your 20s, but I'd say that why not? I want money, I am ambitious. Just be in no skepticism of accepting what you really, really want, and then get your ass up and work for it. I'm really, really blessed, and I'm endowed with parents who actually support and love me to the core of whatever crap I do. But come to think of it, their parents weren't that supportive. But still, my parents have actually gone against to whatever was socially approved and raised me and my brother for whoever we are today. And I'm really, really grateful to them for that. And just moving on to the crux of this episode and the couple of things which I have learned in the past year. So there are many, so just stay tuned. Number 1, when you do something, ask yourself why you want to do it, for who you want to do it, and just till the time you get a discrete answer for that why, just don't do it. Number 2, when you realize that you can actually create something with nothing in your hands, like literally nothing, big ideas just start flowing from anywhere. Number 3, this one's a cliche, but it's really, 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 really important. Eliminate the noises. As cliche as it sounds, the truth is that I have been an extrovert ever since, and I've always loved really having a lot of people around me. But you know, that one negative energy can actually take you way back, and it can actually take out all of the energy from you. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be the people around you, like present physically around you. You need not answer, the texts from people you don't want to. You need not answer the calls from people you don't want to. Just eliminate those noises and just, quoting Austin Kleon over here, just do the vampire test and see if people suck out energy from you. One bad voice can take you dwindling down. And even in the pandemic, I've kind of dwindled down the people to those 5 to 6 people I actually talk to, just because they make me feel, to the best of my potential. Number 4, just please be careful to who's giving the advice. If you want to become one of the greatest professors of academia and you're taking an advice from an entrepreneur, you might not get a very good advice. Number 5, when you do something that has socially approved respect attached to it, or that socially approved lucrativeness attached to it, people will kind of try to sway you to doing that thing. And so you should really consider all of the factors whenever you're making a decision in such a situation, and kind of just not get swayed by whatever a person says. Give the university representative example above. Number 6, when you're doing something for yourself and you have a selfish resistance in your mind, just try objectivizing it and ask it to shut up, and don't trust your heart or your mind, just trust what your gut says. Just ask yourself, what if you do it and what if you don't do it? Number 7, sometimes just try contextualizing the opinions you don't believe in, because sometimes it's not just about right or wrong, it's just about what feels correct to your conscience. Number 8, quoting Gary Vaynerchuk over here once again, even if you're 60 years old, you really need to have in your mind that you're just young, you're just getting started, you're just in the dirt, and you really need to add curiosity and humility to your game, as it can end you to places where you've never thought of being. Number 9, start before you're ready. Tomorrow will never come and you will never be ready, so just take a brush and paint the world red. Number 10, to actually realize what you want in life, sometimes it's also important to realize what you don't want in your life. And so basically, elimination takes precedence over addition and is one of the main keys to self-awareness. Number 11, sometimes one thing can seem interesting to you at one point in your life, and the same thing can seem disinteresting at another point in your life. So just be okay with evolving. Number 12, never ever 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 define your happiness as something or some person, because if you don't get that thing or that person, then that thing will actually tell you to be, you don't have a right to be happy. Number 13, no school can teach you self-love. Only you can teach yourself self-love. Number 14, never ever ever expect a closure from something, from someone, or an incident, because the universe has no obligation to make sense to you. Number 15, like I've realized this thing over the past year, that timing in life is really, 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 really important. If something doesn't happen at a particular point in life, it actually is for a very, very better reason. And if you judge the moment, you actually make that moment lose its opportunity to become good. Maybe if something isn't happening, there is a better reason for it. And with time, eventually we get to know that reason. Number 16. This one as well is a cliche, and I'd like to quote Jay Shetty over here. So, never ever ever just wait from external validation from someone or something, because you are your best cheerleader and your best supporter you can ever ask for. Number 17. Now this is something, my dad really mocks me about, and he says that if you run after something, if you chase it as hell, you will never ever ever get it. Just like, if you chase a person, you'll never have that, you'll never be able to build a bond with that person. Similarly, if you chase anything in your life, you are running after it crazy as hell, you will never be able to achieve it. And even if you do, it might not bring you gratification in the long run. Number 18. This is like one of the most important lessons I've learned, like not just from this particular incident, but in general, which I have kind of had a retrospection and introspection about. So an opportunity can actually be a life changer for you, but it can never be bigger than your self-confidence and whatever you feel. An opportunity exists because you exist. And the thought that, oh my God, this is the only one opportunity, don't blow it, is kind of drilled into our heads. No opportunity can actually be the end of the road. And sometimes it's not the people who win who do incredible things. Sometimes it's also the people who don't win and do incredible things and build amazing things for themselves and the world. Maybe it's just time to try a new road. Maybe the vision you hold is a really, really strong one, but the door you're banging on isn't the correct one. And so why not build a door for yourself? And sometimes the doors that shut on your face are actually the best thing that can actually ever happen to you. Because sometimes not good enough means not good enough yet. And so I really hope that to whosoever who's watching this has actually got a sneak peek or a glimpse into my life. And people are also able to acknowledge the fact that it is completely okay to have stuff not figured out in life. It is okay. It is 200 and 500% okay to feel overwhelmed by something, but nothing is greater than you. Nothing is greater than your self-confidence, and you will only figure out stuff by trusting yourself and nobody else. I just can't wait for everyone's feedbacks and thoughts on today's episode. It took me a lot of time to prepare for this and to kind of write whatever I spoke today. And to all the lazy asses who haven't subscribed, please just go onto the YouTube and Spotify channel of the Blossom Chronicle. Please subscribe. And I would also like to listen to everyone's story if you are able to relate to whatever I've said. I just love listening to stories. And you can also reach out to me on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and we can also discuss about today's episode. You can share your stories. Till the next time, keep blossoming.